Hello, this is Food Offensive Weekly News for March 11th, 2013, and if you're watching this video shortly after I've posted it, then you will know that I'm a little bit behind here, and it's about a week behind, and hopefully bringing you news that's up to date for the most part. But if you're watching this, you'll know that I am a little bit behind. I kind of went down a rabbit trail with the nanotechnology issue, and of course it's a good rabbit trail to go down because I didn't really know much about it until a few weeks ago when I first discovered it and covered it as a weekly news item. But since then, I've kind of devoted a lot of time to covering that particular issue, and that requires me to do a lot of research, of course, and reading all the stuff that's been published for even over a decade that I didn't even really see come to light yet, at least in my research. I'm sure most of you maybe have heard about it, but I get caught on, with GMOs and other issues like that are very pressing and are very much at the forefront, especially with labeling laws that are trying to be passed all over the country. But this nanotech issue is a very important one, and it can be something that can catch up with us and slip up on us like GMO has done, and has become very much overwhelmed a little bit with it. And hopefully now we're kind of turning the tide. We're seeing that tipping point that Jeffrey M. Smith has said, that there is a tipping point, and we are slowly reaching that critical mass. So hopefully that's something that can change as well. But I want to cover this nanotech issue as well, so that's why I've gotten behind. But this week's news really, I'm looking at about 110 articles here that I have read this week and compiled for this March 11th broadcast, and there's just so much out there. I have to choose which ones I want to pick. I will say, coming up on this episode, there is a music video. It's must see. It is. I found it through Natural News. Mike Adams brought it to light, and he actually interviewed the artist on the Alex Jones show when he was filling in there. But it's called Food Fight, and it's a food resistant movement and against the processed food death machine is what it says. And I want to show that video. It's about 6 minutes once I get started here and cover a few articles, and we'll show it towards the end of the episode here. But this week there's so many issues. One of the main ones this week is this issue of wanting to add aspartame to milk. I mean, this is a major issue. I've looked at the history of aspartame and looked at kind of the timeline of it before, and of course this is something that's going to continue to come out as time goes on. But there is a article from Rodale News. It says the dairy industry wants artificial sweeteners in milk, and it says the pushback against high fructose corn syrup and sugar in milk products prompts industry to explore artificial sweetener options. Well, I would say the first two are probably less dangerous than aspartame for sure, and plain sugar obviously is better than both of them put together. So I just don't know why you would want. It basically says, this picture here of a glass of milk, it says, would you let your child drink diet milk? I mean, this is ridiculous that they would even consider this. And what's sad is people will actually drink it because we think, oh, well, sugar's bad, and its problem is we just eat too much of it and eat too much of everything in general, so of course something's going to look bad. But when you compare it to something that's artificial, like aspartame, of course you're going to have even worse issues than sugar. We know, and I've looked at many times doing special reports on aspartame, how dangerous it is and how bad it is for you. People that, even people that will drink something or eat something with aspartame in it not knowing it, they'll get a headache immediately after, and that's not and that's not a coincidence. That's just their body saying this is no good. They're actually lucky that they that their body won't, tells them about that and reminds them about it, so they don't even do it. But there's so many people that drinking Diet Coke and other products regularly, several of them a day. This is just a major issue, and basically this whole issue, this article covers it. It basically says, in 2009, the International Dairy Foods Association and the Natural Milk Producers Federation petitioned the Food and Drug Administration asking them to remove this restriction, and now that request is open to public comments until May 21st, 2013. Basically, they want to put it in there without labeling it. That's where the bad thing comes in. And it says, the issue at hand is really a labeling one. If FDA allows the change, aspartame and other artificial sweeteners will still have to be listed on the small ingredients label. But critics worry that without meaningful front-of-package labeling, consumers may miss the change and unknowingly be choosing milk with diet soda chemicals. Yeah, absolutely. And there's some links here. You can speak up. You can seek organic options as well. But there's a way for you to submit your comments on that. And of course, with the issue of, it's just like bubble gum nowadays. It's hard to find gum, and not just gum that says low sugar or low calorie or whatever. Gum and candy, just all of it has aspartame in it, and it now we know to look at those labels, but for milk you wouldn't really know to look for it. So yes, it is a labeling issue, and that's something we definitely need to take a look at. And now meanwhile, we've got them wanting to add a dangerous chemical like aspartame to milk, but yet raw milk farmers are still being just hammered with issues with mandatory pasteurization and all these laws wanting to keep mandatory pasteurization in Indiana, and people that have been raided over the last couple of years with the whole raw milk and raw foods issues and things like that, and but yet they would even consider allowing them to add a chemical such as aspartame to milk. I just don't understand the logic. But also, Paul Craig Roberts put out this week a great article. Paul Craig Roberts, Institute for Political Economy. He put out a great article entitled "Polluted America," and I would really like to go over this in detail in just one single video. But he really just talks about, he covers the whole gamut. He talks about democracy being polluted with special interests, accountability issues in the executive branch of the government, Constitution is polluted with corrupt legal interpretations from Bush and Obama regimes, talking about our waters being polluted, our soil's fertility being damaged, and then he gets into glyphosate, he gets into Monsanto and GMOs and the whole glyphosate issue. I want to cover this glyphosate issue at some point, because this Dr. Don Huber is one that has spoken out on that a lot, and there's a lot of information about that and concerning the Roundup Ready alfalfa and issues around Monsanto's crops. But that was all the buzz this week for that with the Polluted America. He really hit the nail on the head. And Paul Craig Roberts, he writes one or two articles every couple of weeks, but they're very hard hitting and very, very definitely hits to the heart of the issues. A lot of talk this week also about sequestration, things going on with that, talking about how meat packers, meat inspectors are gonna, they're gonna have to cut hours, they're gonna have to have issues. I mean, if our food supply did not have a big enough problem already, they're talking about now sequestration and how the USDA cannot avoid furloughing meat inspectors, and a lot of it is veiled threats. A lot of it is political fear-mongering in a way where they're just trying to get their budget and keep the budget that they've had all this time without having to make changes. But that is a good question to raise. I mean, what really is going to happen when we have enough issues already with food outbreaks and things like that? I follow food safety news online, and they have just article after article, news after news about what the current issues are, outbreaks in this area or that area. And I can imagine what it would be like if we didn't have, if we had even less oversight. Obviously we have a pretty tainted, a pretty corrupt food supply on many levels, and so it's just a good question to raise. And I want to look at this video real quick. Jack Bobo, I got this article from Farmers Weekly, and he is defending GM crops, and I want to look at those real quick. So here's that video, and then we'll come back shortly after.
Why should the UK throw away its image of producing high-quality food in a natural environment?
Well, I think that new technology is important everywhere, and the UK farmer could benefit from this. And so I really think that high technology isn't the same as low quality, and the UK is a leader in science and technology, and so it really is throwing away its image as a technology leader by rejecting technology.
Why do we need GMs in the UK if there's no market for it, such as there's no market for horse meat, for example?
Well, I think that there's a huge market for biotech crops, and Europe is the second largest importing region of biotech crops in the world. So right now they may not be producing them here, but they're sure using an awful lot of them, about 10 billion euros a year just for soybeans alone. And so really the livestock producers get cheaper feed, consumers get cheaper products. The only person that loses in all of this is the European and the UK farmer.
Do you believe that UK farmers should have the right to choose whether they plant GM crops or not?
I think that it would be beneficial for them. I think that they would be very interested. And so I think the real question is for them. Is it something that they want? Is it something that they need? Is it something they think will be of use?
I see, and just finally, are you worried about the impact of GMs on diets? I mean, there's been reports in the US that they have increased diseases or illnesses such as digestive disorders, allergies, kidney disease, cancers, diabetes, Alzheimer's. The list goes on. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think the science is pretty clear that these products are safe, and the regulators in the United States have come to the same conclusions as regulators in Europe, in Japan, in Australia, New Zealand, and all of these places. So the regulators are 100% in agreement that the products on the market today are completely safe. They're as safe as the products, conventional products.
And so there you have it. He, obviously spits out the same rhetoric that the biotech companies talks about, how it's good for us, how it can feed the hungry, so on and so forth. And I just question of who he's working for. That's really, he's a senior advisor on Biotech to Hilary Clinton. So is he in their pockets? I mean, this is an issue. So something to always question. Follow the money. Well, who's in his pocket? And what they're telling him to say or pushing him to say, or who's paying for him to say that. And obviously there's been way more evidence against genetically modified crops that we've seen over and over again, and of course they try to come out and attack whoever scientists or researchers that would say differently. And of course, obviously it's a scare tactic, and a lot of times it works, but I just can't get over the fact that if Monsanto's scientists don't eat GMOs and they demand organics and healthy foods in their cafeterias, then how can we that should be the biggest evidence right there that something's not right there. And with that, concerning genetically modified foods, there's Food Democracy Now! Has put out a action. This will be my action alert this week, and it's basically they're coining it the Monsanto Protection Act, and it really is. And basically, they're here on their website. It says, "Stop the Monsanto Protection Act." It says, "Once again, Monsanto and the biotech industry are working behind closed doors to undermine your basic rights. This time, they've gone too far. As your senators debate the continuing resolution spending bill, biotech lobbyists have desperately snuck provisions into the spending bill to make sure their new GMO crops can evade and serious scientific or regulatory review. In the past, legal advocates have successfully won in court the right to halt the sale and planting of unimproved GMO crops while the approval of those crops is under review by a federal judge. This dangerous provision, which we're calling the Monsanto Protection Act, would strip judges of their constitutional mandate to protect consumer rights and the environment, while opening up the floodgates for the planting of new, untested, genetically engineered crops, endangering farmers, consumers, and the environment." So, it always happens when there's a big ruckus going on about one certain issue, and the news agencies, the mainstream news, is hitting this one topic, which, of course, sequestration has been on the front of everybody's mind for months now, but here recently, the last couple of weeks, is when the deadline was approaching, so on and so forth. They were really, really focused on that. Well, what happens when we're focused on that, and something like this gets slipped through behind our backs, and we don't see it? So, Food Democracy Now! has caught that wind of that and put it out, and there's a letter there. You can send a copy of your letter to your senator, already formed out and ready to go. So it's extremely important that we get the word out on that, and it's an extremely potentially dangerous issue that we're facing here. There was one more thing I wanted to point out. Of course, there's so many other issues here that I didn't get to cover, but this issue of Alternet has an article, "The 7 highly disturbing trends in junk food advertising in children," and it runs down the list here. Number 1, being bombarded. Number 2, the ads, not the TV, are what's making kids fat. They get hit with thousands of ads a year concerning food. Gaining 10 pounds a year, 10 extra pounds a year. Children clueless while the industry cashes in. They're talking about a fourth meal even. A new campaign that they kicked off talking about a fourth meal. They hold schools hostage. The industry's idea of self-regulations. Happy Meals with apple slices. Yeah, that's the issue I wanted to point out here. It says, due to increasing criticism from the public health community and the federal government, the fast food industry undertook the ambitious task of self-regulation in 2006, launching the Children's Food and Beverage Advertising Initiative. Under this initiative, companies pledged to market better-for-you foods to children. And then here are the selections from the menu they came up with. And talks about Burger King meals with fresh apple slices and juice and milk instead of soda. The Happy Meals, Kids Cuisine Meals Primo Pepperoni Double Stuffed Pizza, Chef Boyardee Pepperoni Pizza Ravioli. But here's the issue here. It talks about, it just points out 4 particular companies and products that they've attempted to make it more healthy. Well, my issue is, and my point is, why are the kids even eating these 4 items in the first place? Why are your kids eating at McDonald's? Why are they eating at Burger King? My child has never eaten there, and hopefully will never have the chance to. As far as also these frozen meals, the kids' cuisine meals, and the canned ravioli, those things are, just absolutely disgusting, not to mention they're bad for you. So my thing is, why are kids even eating these things in the first place? And obviously, yes, apple slices and juice or milk instead of a soda and fries with your burger is a lot better than nothing, but it goes back to, what are we doing as parents in letting our kids eat at those places in the first place? Well, we're eating, these particular parents are eating there, and of course their kids are too, so that's where the issue comes in. But that's why I wanted to point out this particular article this week. Is it's also it also comes down to, we can blame the food companies. Yeah, when we set our kids in front of the TV, well, that's our fault too. And when we can knock McDonald's and knock Burger King and knock processed food companies for not doing a better job of providing a lower calorie meal, well, that's just placing the blame off on someone else. And like blaming McDonald's for getting burned with hot coffee. Well, at what point did we become unresponsible for our own actions? Why are our kids even eating those things in the first place? But without further ado, this week's main event is this food fight video. It's really cool. The music's even good, but the video is what's really the video and the concept behind it is what's really intriguing and really interesting. And I wanted to show that this week. You can also follow their site also and their website through the video and check them out. I'll put the video link here at the bottom of the music video as well, and the website name. But here's that video right now.
Get off the couch. You know what? Why don't you get up and go to the store and bring back some food?
Established the norm that seed can be owned as their property, royalties can be collected. We will depend on them for every seed we grow, of every crop we grow. If they control seed, they control food, they know it. It's strategic. It's more powerful than bombs. It's more powerful than guns. This is the best way to control the populations.
That's what the streets them say. That's what my least them say. That's what the Babylon say. Been hold up on the lips and get popped the same way now. That's what the Pentagon say. That's what the general say. That's what the empire say. But death down your throat, you get dropped the same way. There's a war going on inside, no man is safe from DDTs, PCBs. Every corner in the hood got a KFC. A McD's, it's crack speed like RED. Bullish, the pulpit, so caffeine. Kick cat like a click clack, holes in their jeans. So everything got the market, ain't all what it seems. Little Debbie busting biscuits and sugar high fiends. Yeah, ain't nothing but a G thing. GMO, MSG, genocide, like street gangs. Aspartame, like street cane. Monsanto was Rambo, round up with ammo. Who would've known you could die from a diabetes and the itis on the dairy and the dose of the high fructose. If your ribs too close, so you might start a ride, might be a food fighter. That's what the streets them say. That's what my least them say. That's what the Babylon say. Been hold up on the lips and get popped the same way now. That's what the Pentagon say. That's what the general say. That's what the empire say. But death down your throat, you get dropped the same way. They shoot you. Made you look at the labels on the food that you cook. Just say no to the cocoa box, cause when you Google the ingredients you might get got. Is your milk on drugs? Cause your brain on Fox. Factory farm and spawn in the matrix plot. Globally warm and the saw enough cows and knocks. Driving the Klein, driving the Hummer or not. Drive in like a drive-by. E. coli serves supersize with a side of super lies. So tell me what's more gangster than that? Bullets and burgers to both blaze, burners to black. Breakfast is a little like Texas. Petrol is everything that you're eating on. My pet store is backyard like Cheech and Chong. My school lunch, pack a punch, food fighters on. That's what the streets them say. That's what my least them say. That's what the Babylon say. Been hold up on the lips and get popped the same way now. That's what the Pentagon say. That's what the general say. That's what the empire say. But death down your throat, you get dropped the same way.
What's beef? Beef is when you 12 years old and obese. Clogged arteries, can't see your own feet. until you up in ICU. Guaranteed to be in ICU from that processed food. Suicide is a suicide. Don't want no microwaves, no pesticides. Fast food, slow death in disguise. It's the wild, wild westernized world of deception and lies. What's beef? Beef is when you starve in a famine. Nothing won't grow when the land stays barren. Pollution in the river, mercury in the salmon. What sense do it make to be at war with the planet? We at war for the mind, so impressionable. Instead of vegetables, we reach for Red Bulls. Poor diets kill more brothers than pistols. We fighting for our lives like Michael Vick's pit bulls. Dog eat dog, America eats the young. We dying from beef, but more from the meat than the gun. Bullets for breakfast and mass murder meals. Enemy of the state, and your plate is the battlefield in this food fight. Food fight. Food fight.
That's what the streets them say. That's what my least them say. That's what the Babylon say. But call upon the lips and get fucked the same way now. That's what the Pentagon say. That's what the general say. That's what the empire say. But death down your throat, you get dropped the same way. That's what the streets them say. That's what my least them say. That's what the Babylon say. But call upon the lips and get fucked the same way now. That's what the Pentagon say. That's what the general say. That's what the empire say. But death down your throat, you get dropped the same way.
Food fight. Food fight.
And so food fight, you know, talk about being bombarded with processed foods and drink, you know, all the various drinks and cereals. And of course this is looking at the inner city and how, you know, yeah, in the suburbs you can go to a Whole Foods or a Sprouts Market or whatever's in your area, something that has natural grocers or something like that that has, you know, more natural foods, and it doesn't have to be maybe not organic, but a lot better than, you know, the main culprits of the cereals, the processed foods and things like that, the powdered donuts and the energy drinks and stuff. And this really is getting the word out. This video has become quite viral, and I think it's really good, and hopefully they're working on more videos like it. It's high quality and the music's good, like I said, as well. So and it really does help a cause. So that was this week's broadcast. Stay tuned for more information, more special reports. I have the special report, the full version, in 2 parts, or in 1 part actually, if you're watching it on YouTube, concerning the Slipping Through the Cracks article and issue brief that was out. I did a long video on that, going through the article, pointing things out, showing you other articles, and hopefully you'll see that. But until next time, this is foodoffensive.com. Thank you for joining me.